Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem HaKodash. Say double honors to our apostles and elders, every great millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So just to add, with this ongoingness, right, with these Israelite groups, it started with, Genesis, which is just an extension of Sakari. And then Guerrilla Hebrew came back on the scene, and then this video came out. This video is titled Proof ISUPK Founder Taught Gentile Salvation. Now he's trying to refer to, our elders, our Bivens, our priests, our Yah, etc. And this is him responding to other Israelite groups, say like ISUPK, and he mentioned WFI and some other ones. And really what he's doing is, it's called deflection. It's called deflection. He's going back to the what was said at the old school, right? How at one point they taught that Cornelius was a Gentile. And he's trying to say like, well, if you guys are going to come after me, then you guys need to go after, your elders who at one point taught that Cornelius was a Gentile. But here's the thing. This is why the split came. The apostles and elders speak about this time and time again, but the reason how Great Millstone came about was because the apostles and elders was at the old school, and then eventually the Spirit brought forth, right, through the apostles and elders, Apostle Gabar, I believe, when they had a meeting, they brought up, they said, okay, it's time to deal with this fact that Cornelius, he's an Israelite. He's an Israelite. And that's what brought the split. That's literally what got the apostles and elders kicked out of the school. And Bishop Nathaniel was included in part of that council to kick out the elders. It was over Cornelius being an Israelite, right? Now, at least to my knowledge, I listened to a little bit, but Hakar here, he didn't mention Great Millstone. His focus was on those guys because those guys spoke against him, right? But here's the point of the whole matter. Yes, at the old school, the apostles and elders will tell you, it was taught that Cornelius was a Gentile. But the apostles and elders, the Spirit eventually got the apostles and elders to the point to realize, like, no, Cornelius has to be an Israelite because understanding was grown. The apostles grew understanding. And that's literally what got them kicked out of the school. And that's how GMS came about. Now, when Bishop Nathaniel came back on the scene, he taught that Cornelius was an Israelite, but he never gave reverence to the fact, or never brought up the fact that he was a part of the council that kicked out Great Millstone. He wants to bury that. He wants to pretend like that never happened because, in the eyes of his people, in the eyes of his congregation, and to the world, he's trying to convince the world that everything he was a part of wasn't right. He knew it wasn't right. So then he broke off, and then he became this great teacher, and he's the founder of IUIC. He doesn't want people to know that he had a hand in the split. Why lie? I don't know. Why try to bury it? That's just being deceptive. If you just spoke the truth, then you just spoke the truth, But, to the world, he's got to be spotless, just like his dealings when he was a part of the NYPD police department. Even then, he just says, oh, I saw corruption and I had to just get out, wanting to omit other information too, because he's just being deceptive, because he tell other people, oh yeah, I taught Bishop Kanai, I made him see that Cornelius was an Israelite. They made him see, okay, but where's the apology to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for you being responsible, part of the council that got them kicked out? No apology, you see. But I say that because by now, right, if you listen, that should be known, right? So that's really all that matters. What matters is that at the old school, it was being taught that Cornelius was a Gentile. But the truth of the matter is, now we know the truth. Truth is, we have more understanding of the Israelite foreigners. We have more understanding on that. And Great Millstone in particular goes hard on the Israelite foreigners. That's why we call them Israelite foreigners. Okay, meaning they can look like the other nations but they're Israelites according to the Spirit. And when it comes to Cornelius, the understanding grew on how when the scriptures talk about Gentiles pertaining to salvation is referring to Israelites, because we have the understanding now. That's what matters. And the fact is, what you were teaching, Genesis, what you or any other Israelite group, like I think he mentioned HOI, because I believe they still teach that Cornelius is a Gentile, which is incorrect. Bottom line is, you're wrong. You're all wrong. Okay? That's why you're getting the backlash, because we have the understanding that the Gentiles pertaining to salvation are indeed Israelites. This video here is really just deflection. What it is these guys can't stand the heat in the kitchen, so they're just trying to bring others involved in it, because they don't know what they're involved in. They don't understand what they're involved in, and they can't stand the heat, because that's all this video is. Your doctrine is wrong. You're wrong on many things. In addition, you're wrong on the lake of fire. You're wrong on Paul's writings. You're just wrong. Okay, you and many other Israelite groups are wrong. So that's why you got the response you got, probably from those Israelite groups, to go after the heads at the old school and pull up the receipts on how at one point, yes, they taught Cornelius was a Gentile. Doesn't mean anything, because we have the understanding now. That's the point. Trying to just pull others down or pull others in the fire with you because you can't stand the heat. It's childish. It's childish. These guys don't know what they're involved in, but I just wanted to let that be clear. Okay, the split literally came because the truth of Cornelius came about, and it was through the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And that's all that matters. What matters is that we have the understanding that Cornelius is an Israelite, and we have the understanding of Gentiles pertaining to salvation. You're wrong. Anybody that teaches Gentile salvation, as in the actual heathen, you're wrong. And anybody teaches that Cornelius is not an Israelite is wrong. No matter what you say, you're wrong. So he's basically throwing all these groups in the mix. And basically he's trying to them, he's basically saying we're all the same. That's what he's trying to say. He didn't mention Great Millstone. I'll say that. He didn't mention Great Millstone. Great Millstone isn't caught up in that. But nonetheless, okay, it's still a childish move to just try to say, oh, you all have to say the same thing about this group. Now, the fact is, you're wrong, period. All right. But these guys, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're involved in. This is why they're responding the way they respond. And if, you men probably trying to leave your camp, you're putting the business out there, dropping their wives' names and all that, which you took the video post back, but still, it just goes to show you, you two, none of you all are fit to be put in a position of leadership, to lead anything, because you're not qualified. Okay, just like your leader Alizé, when the heat got on him, he just tried to point the finger to other people. That's what he always does. That's what he always does. Okay, accountability is just not his strong suit. All right, and that's all you guys, because you're all a bunch of big kids. But the bottom line is, what's going to be highlighted more and more is who has the true 100% truth, and that's the men of Great Millstone. While you all are infighting all this back and forth, notice he intentionally left Great Millstone out of it, because he knows our stance. Okay, Malachi 3:16. Then they that feared the Lord Yahweh spake often one to another, and the Lord Yahweh hearkened and heard it, and the book of remembrance was written before him, before them that feared the Lord Yahweh and thought upon his name. You all don't even teach the name anymore, okay? Or say his name at least, or Yahweh shall, okay? It says, they shall be mine, and they shall be mine, said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, in the day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Who's his jewels? His elect. The elect, putting them through the fire. That's the purification process, okay? Verse 18, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth Yahweh and him that serveth him not. So as time progresses, it's going to be made manifest who is really serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua and who's not, who's serving their own belly. And as these guys get revealed, you starting to see who's serving their own belly, who sold out, who took the bag, who does not have 100% truth, who's not dealing with the spirit, who's not operating in the spirit, who constantly changing and changing and you know what I'm saying? Changing this, changing that, backfooting this, and then now the heat's on you, then you trying to put other people in the fire too. You see, you see now who really has 100% truth, whose doctrine is firm, who stood 10 toes down on the doctrine, defended it, not ashamed of it, and who's still teaching 100% truth. This is the evidence. I mean, like, look at the comment boards, right? And these people, they make some points here. Like this guy says, he says, wait, so if y'all knew about this while teaching only Israel can be saved, that would mean you're relying and false teaching on top of charging people for something you didn't believe yourself in terms of Israel only. See, they got a point. They got a point. I ain't reading all this, but this is the truth. This is the point, okay? Because if you're saying, oh, well, wait a minute now, we've always known this, then that means you weren't fully persuaded. Let me read this, man. This is what happens when you're a hypocrite, man. Period. Sirach 33:2. A wise man hateth not the law, but he that is an hypocrite therein is as a ship in the storm. You're all over the place. All of you, you're all over the place because you don't have a sure foundation. Paul, we can apply Paul when we want to. We're not dealing with Deuteronomy 22. The scripture says a wise man hated not the law. But when you're a hypocrite, you're a ship in a storm. You're all over the place. When you don't have 100% truth, that 1% will throw everything off. And this is why this is why you guys are all over the place when you're trying to clarify. We don't mean this, but we do mean this, but this means that, but that's confusion. It's confusion. You trying to backtrack and put everybody in the fire with you. That's just more confusion. None of you all are qualified to be in a leadership position, period. Your doctrine isn't sound. You're glorified novices, okay? Novices puffed it up with pride. You fall into the condemnation of the devil. So let it just be known, okay? The whole Cornelius truth the split came about, literally, the split of the school came about through Cornelius. So the truth was understood. The truth of Cornelius and the Israelite foreigners is now known. We have the understanding now. It started through the apostles and elders. So that's all that matters. The fact is, yes, at the old school it was taught, but then the understanding of Cornelius being an Israelite is taught. And guess what? The apostles and elders, they were always upfront with that. They never hid that fact. They tell you, yes, this was taught at one point, but when the understanding came, we brought it forth and we were kicked out because of it. And they tell you how it all went down. So that's all that matters. All that matters is that we have the truth now. We have the 100% truth of understanding of Cornelius. So that's what you should be teaching. And if you're not teaching it, then you're wrong. You and whatever other Israelite group. Shalom.